Well, tonight we have a guest, and it's Lucy Caniff, who won Mayor for the Day. So we want to congratulate you for being the winner, and you know it's always good that we teach our young students about civics. I think it's gone by the wayside far too long, and this is just a great experience for you. And I actually snuck a key of the city out for her to make it special. Remembrance, Wendy. Is that okay?
Yes, it is.
See, I have to change her. So we'll start the meeting.
Call the meeting to order.
Say roll call.
Roll call.
Speak. Mr. DeSarno?
Here.
Mrs. Jaffray?
Here.
Mayor Morgan?
Here.
Mr. Munoz?
Present.
Mrs. McKnight? Here. Mrs. Belisca?
Present.
Say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is a public meeting of the Borough Council, Borough of New Providence, County of Union, State of New Jersey. Adequate notice has been given in accordance with PL 1975, Chapter 231. That annual notice of revision was made in conformance with Section 13 of the Act. Okay, before we go, move on, I just want to wish our Jewish friends Happy New Year. May it be happy and healthy, not only for our Jewish friends, but for all of us. Also, as you know, Governor Florio passed away a few days ago. I met him a good number of times. He was a really, really nice guy. So if we could stand up and have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Okay, at this time, we have a presentation about the New Providence Board of Education bond referendum. I know Mary Jim.
Hi.
Thank you for coming.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
You're always welcome. You know that.
I'm here with Mr. Nevich, this is our board president. So I'll start and speak to the November 8th bond referendum and give you an overview of all the projects and with regard to the cost, and then I'll turn it over to Mary to say a few words. So the referendum scope is a total project amount of $22.2 million. $17 million goes for enhanced HVAC upgrades, $3.1 million are for capital improvement projects, and $2.1 million is for new flexible furniture, which is for the entire district at all buildings. With the breakdown of the $22.2 million, 77% goes for the HVAC upgrades, 14% for the capital improvement projects, and 9% for the flexible furniture. The one thing to point out with regards to the $17 million or the 77% of the HVAC upgrades, the air conditioning portion of that whole project is $2.1 million. So a majority of the $17 million goes for just the replacement of the current HV units that we have in the district. With regards to the HVAC, it's changing out the heating and ventilation units to heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, which doing this will enhance the health and safety of our students and staff, increase the airflow, increase the fresh air, and it's replacing all the units, the unit ventilators, and the rooftop units that hit their useful life. Something to note is that all the units are in the 50s and 60s, they're original at all our buildings. So the ones that were replaced, we did get bang for our buck, as we would say. With regards to air conditioned units that we have currently, district-wide we're about 33% air conditioned, so it's not a total upgrade of all our facilities. So what we were doing throughout the years is when we were replacing HV units, we were replacing them with HVAC units. So we've been doing this on an annual basis. When units do hit their useful life, we do have to switch them out. We are switching them with air conditioning. So we've been working towards this for some time. With regards to the capital improvement projects, the first project is a roof replacement at the high school, middle school. This is the last portion of the roof that needs to be completed. The last two bond referendums we had, we did all the other buildings. So this is the last small piece at the high school. It's about 37,000 square feet. And that will complete all the roofs at all of our facilities. The bleacher replacements are at Saltbrook School and at the high school. Both are hit their useful life. The bleachers at the high school were put in the 1980s, and the ones at Saltbrook were even prior to that, the original bleachers. We did at the last bond referendum replace the ones at Roberts. Corridor flooring replacement is at the high school, middle school. It's the entire facility. Throughout the years, we've put new additions on, and all the flooring does not match. So we're going to want to take all the flooring out of the whole building at the high school, middle school, and make it all uniform. Track resurfacing at the high school in 2009, at the one of the prior bond referendums, we did redo the whole track, reconfigure the track, and also resurface. In 2017, we repaired it, and now in 2022, we'd like to replace it. When we did repair it in 2017, the contractor said we got about another 5 years or so with the patch, or we're going to find ourselves back to what happened the first time we had to actually rip up the whole track. So it was pretty important that we do resurface the track. And then the last piece is staff toilet room renovations. And with that, by the library, we have a female-male restroom. Only one person can go into each. The plan is to put multiple units in each of them, so more than one staff member can go in and use the restrooms at one time. And then the last piece, which is approximately $2.1 million, is putting new flexible furniture in all the classrooms at all the levels throughout the district. And what this is mobile. It's for a 21st century learner. It works with our SCL program. It's all about mobility, moving desks around, different configurations, not set stationary furniture at all. And in your packets, when you go through it, you can see all the different variations and the consultants that we worked with regards to that piece of the project. And the last piece, the financial part of it, as I said, the total bond referendum cost is $22.2 million. We applied and did receive notification from the state of New Jersey that we received debt service aid of about $6.8 million that would be received on an annual basis. So what that means for an average home, market value of $643,000, which is an assessed value of $303,000. It would cost the average home $217 a year, or approximately $18 a month for this bond referendum. The one thing I do want to note is that we do have bonds coming off the books in August of 2025. And when that does come off the books, the actual increase that you'll see goes down to about $52 a year when you take the new debt, or the old debt off the books and the new debt on. The reason why we're going out earlier is with regards to the HVAC that we want to get moving on it quickly. With regards to supply chains and contractors, we're not sure if we would even get it done in one summer. We may be out 1, 2, 3 summers. So the quicker we get going, the quicker we could get the bid packages out there, and the quicker that we can start moving on the projects. All the other projects we plan to do next summer if it is approved on November 8th. But the HVAC upgrades may take more than one summer just because of the scope and the supply and demand at this point.
We know all about supply chain,
What's that?
right, Kevin?
Yes.
We cannot work during the school year
Right.
on the EV.
Right.
So we're stuck to the summer months.
Is the HVAC, the ventilation mandated by the state and the feds?
Well, it's not
Okay, what
mandated, but all the new units will go up to the current code, so the fresh air will be more.
Okay.
What happens is what you're grandfathered in, so whatever your units are at the time, you're based on their manufacturer, but as you put new units in, you have to go up with the new regulations.
Right. The only question I had was like when the other bond was going to be paid off.
Yeah, that'd be August of 2025.
Yeah, okay.
So at this point, I just want to turn it over to Mary real quick.
All right.
Yeah.
So, good evening. Thanks for having us. It's really great to share all the referendum details, and I know you have it in your packet tonight. I just want to thank Mr. Testa for walking through that packet. The board is extremely excited about these projects. As you can see, the biggest ticket item is the heating and ventilating. This comes on the heels of COVID, for sure. We had our engineers in our buildings during COVID to give us the all clear, which we got, but it's an ideal time to upgrade our systems. They are 50 plus years old. It's hard to get parts for our heating and ventilating. So it's a great time to add the AC component as well. We all know our students, our staff, our parents, they have been asking for AC. And it's not just the summer months. People say, oh, well, it's only hot in June or it's only hot in August. But, you know, it's just a controlled climate in the buildings, which will be nice all year. So this is a great time to do that. With regards to the furniture, I just want to make note, and I know the mayor has been around this a little bit longer than I have. So it is the original desks and chairs. And so this new furniture is adding the flexibility and the versatility for the students as well as our teachers. And we kind of all know once our students and teachers become collaborative and engaged emotionally, there's going to be better success in performance. So Jim pointed out that in your packet there's different, sure, you can move the furniture in rows for testing, and then you can do small groups. The teacher equipment will be more like podium, desks that can go up and go down. So all of that is in your packets tonight. So I guess our short and simple message on behalf of the board is just to help us spread the word about these great projects. Tell your friends, your neighbors, any taxpayer. Have anybody reach out to Mr. Testa, Dr. Michelli, any board member. Our website is fully updated with up-to-date information. It's all right there, but never hesitate to contact any one of us. We're very approachable people. And then, of course, I'll be voting yes for the referendum. And that's really just because these are all upgrades and improvements that will give our 21st century learners the best environment. So thank you for your time tonight. Thank you to the community. We're looking for your support. Any questions tonight from the council, we're happy to take. And anybody from the public, please reach out.
Well, I that was the only two questions I had, but I will tell you, since I graduated 50 years ago, and I actually was given the honor of doing a tour of the high school, what was it, last weekend? For our class reunion. And as much as the high school looked the same, there were so many differences. The chorus room, the orchestra room, the TV studio, the media center, the foods room, the science classes are incredible. And back then we didn't have the middle school there, but everybody was extremely impressed with the high school. And they were very proud to be pioneers. So I want to thank you guys for doing a good job. You know, I know a lot of people have comments about it, but you know what? I've been on the board years ago, and it's not an easy job. So I just want to thank you for all that you've done. And now my grandkids are in the schools. Well, 4 of my kids went through the schools. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
The Board of Ed has always done a great job of coming in below the 2% cap. And we can sit here and talk about numbers all the time, but when you have an actual student from our school sitting as mayor for the day, right, all of these improvements, they're all going to affect her, right? She's the one that's going to benefit. from all of this. So thank you for all the work you put into this.
Well, Mayor, you have any questions? No, you're good. You're good.
And I
Go
believe
visit the STEM wing at the high school. That has all new furniture, and we're basically going to turn the district into that mobile furniture.
and I believe there are pictures on the website too. And there's a dedicated page on the website.
Yes.
NPSD, yes, K12, NJ.org, right?
If you go to the main page, you can click on the bond referendum.
So the new furniture, so that's throughout all of the schools.
K
K
through 12.
through 12. K-12.
Now, it may change in variation at the elementary level to the high school, middle school level, but yes.
Okay. Because I know in kindergarten, they kind of just have like the different desk areas, so probably it'll just be that same kind of larger desk configurations in the kindergarten, and then it'll just go up and vary depending on the kids. Like
Right,
the grades.
right. Yeah, we leave it up to the principals, and they went out to the manufacturer and started looking at different furniture, but to your point, at the lower levels, it'll be more desk type.
Or
setups
tabletop.
or tabletops, and then as you move up the different grade levels, it might switch a little bit.
Excellent.
But it's all about mobility, wheels, moving things around, having the kids move around, they want to stand up, sit down. That's the one thing that we found with all the studies, with how kids want to use these.
So
And
all the kids are benefiting, which is excellent.
All.
K-12.
Pre-K.
And completely safe, the wheels, they stop.
They do well.
Yeah, well, that's up for discussion for the younger grades compared to the older grades, but yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, appreciate
I'll
it.
spread the word. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay, need approval of minutes for September 13th. Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No, so be it. Correspondence, Township of Freelandheisen. This is interesting.
Yeah.
This is a municipality that wanted to start their own fire department, and it's a small town out in western New Jersey, and they couldn't come up with the funds and didn't have the resources, so they were asking current departments if they had any excess or used equipment that we needed. So why don't we talk to Vinny and see if we have anything. We all have to help each other out once in a while, and I know we get new equipment all the time. So let's see what we can do if we can help them out. New Jersey Transit informational hearing for senior and disabled residents transportation. 35 Grant Realty, Board of Adjustment, and Township of Chatham Land Development Ordinance. Any comments? Seeing none, we'll go to Council Business Diversity Committee. Diane.
It's actually meeting.
Names were swapped. I'll take that one.
Oh, okay.
Resolution 2022-253 is a resolution approving request of the New Providence Diversity Committee to support National Native American Heritage Month and Diwali Festival of Lights. There's one little addition to that as well. It's participation in the Scarecrow Stroll and Contest. So just to provide a little more information, and I'll do it in order. So the Scarecrow Stroll and Contest, that's the annual contest that's put on by the Business Professional Association. So we thought it would be great for some more of our committees to participate, to bring awareness to what they do. And the Diversity Committee would like to be included in that. They didn't want me to give away too many details on what they're doing, but they're kind of looking at it as a World Cup theme. So they want to bring in, and so it will be based around soccer, and they will be bringing in all the different nationalities to highlight the Diversity Committee and everything they do. So they would like to participate in that, so we're bringing that to council. Native American Heritage Month is in November, and it's celebrated to honor the remarkable Native Americans who have contributed to improve the character of our nation. So this month is also referred to as American Indian and Alaskan Native Heritage Month. and November is the time to rejoice in the diverse and rich cultures. So this year, the Diversity Committee is going to be creating a resource guide of the various heritage resources that are out there to spread awareness about tribes and to educate people about the various challenges faced by the Native Americans in the past and today. And so they will have a resource guide that will be put out, I believe, on their Facebook page, and we'll also tie it into our borough website. For an actual gathering, we'll be partnering with the library again, just like we did with Hispanic Heritage Month. And the library will be hosting an author, Stephen Mack, who is an Indigenous author who will be interviewed virtually on November 3rd. So that link will be also available on our borough website. And it's about the Navajo Code Talkers. So it sounds like a really interesting presentation. It is virtual, and that will be available for everybody to participate, and there's no fees associated with that. Next is Diwali, which is a festival of lights. So for anybody who doesn't know, Diwali is one of the major religious festivals in Hinduism, Jainism, and the name it's derived, I'm sorry, I was trying to read without my glasses, but I can't. The name is derived from the Sanskrit term Dipali, meaning row of lights. So the festival generally symbolizes the victory of light over darkness. And our proposed festival is going to be November 5th, and we're going to be working this year with the Berkeley Heights YMCA, just like we did last year, to spread awareness about the important tradition. So we'll be offering an afternoon of performances and arts and crafts. There will be opening ceremonies, Bollywood dancing, local restaurants selling food, and there will be a photo booth. So those are the two events that we're looking to have approved so the committee can move forward. And that's what that resolution is. So,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Okay, finance, Lisa.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Resolution 2022-254 is a resolution authorizing payment of the attached bills payable list in the amount of $964,164.71. Some of the more significant items on this bills payable list is the Borough of New Providence capital in the amount of $326,870. That's simply a transfer of CIF appropriations and DC unfunded appropriations to the capital budget, to the capital area. Then we have the Mountain Valley Dispatch for $177,912, and that is their third quarter assessment. And we have Colinelli Brothers for $105,500, and that is the installment payment for the Commerce Street Bridge.
Legal, Rob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 2022-255 is a resolution authorizing the lease termination agreement between the Borough of New Providence and PPAC Gladstone Bank for 1243 Springfield Avenue. The borough owns that property right next door to the old historical school. They used to be our borough hall. We've leased it to PPAC Gladstone for a number of years, but they are moving to Summit beginning October 1st. So as of October 1st, we'll be taking over that property, and they're going to pay us the last 3 months of rent in one lump sum. At this point, the borough has no immediate plans for that building, but we have some ideas in mind.
Okay, mental health, Lisa.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution 2022-256 is a resolution approving a request of the New Providence Mental Health Advocacy and Education Committee to support and sponsor events during the month of October 2022. Specifically, what they are looking to do is hold or sponsor a QPR training, which is Question, Persuade, Refer. And a while back, Nadine, myself, and I believe Matt and Diane sat in on the QPR training, and it really was an amazing training. Basically, what they're doing here is to provide training for someone to be able to recognize, assist, and refer someone who's in crisis, specifically suicide crisis. so important for all, not just folks that work with young people, but for everyone. We all know young folks, we all mentor, we live next door to them, we are related to them, they're all around us, and it is so important that we be able to recognize, right? To recognize if there's a problem and if there is a crisis there, and then to be able to refer them to help. So that's going to be on October 14th at 7 o'clock, and it's via Zoom. And what else? We have a couple other things. We're the scarecrow contest, the pumpkin carving contest, and the street fair. Those are all events that the committee would like to participate in to raise awareness of their committee and become part of the community.
Just one, can I jump in one
Yeah.
second? So the Scarecrow contest, again, like I just mentioned, we're trying to use this to build awareness. And I asked them a little bit of what their theme is. They've kind of been going around like a brain, a healthy brain, so they're, watch for their scarecrow to have kind of a brain theme associated with it. Again, just to get the awareness out there of what that committee is.
Their unofficial motto is "Be kind to your mind."
Yes.
So
we'll be going with the Be Kind to Your Mind theme. So we'll be seeing, I believe also the Municipal Alliance is also going to be participating in the Scarecrow contest this year. So we'll be having many more participants.
when is the due date for that?
That's a good question.
The scarecrow.
The Scarecrow contest, I think they go
October
up
8th.
the middle of October, early October, and they will be displayed on every one of the light poles downtown. People can go into any of the shops and vote for their favorite scarecrow, and that, I believe, goes on through the rest of the month. So it should be a very good turnout for a scarecrow contest this year for our BPA.
Okay. Personnel, Rob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 2022-257 is a salary resolution regarding our Borough Administrator Bernadette Cuccaro. In June of this year, Bernadette became a certified municipal manager. This resolution brings up her salary to reflect that important certification that she was able to get. And I just want to be clear, this is just a one-time event for Bernadette. We're not going to be doing a borough-wide assessment of our employees. This is just specifically for Bernadette to recognize that she is now a certified municipal manager.
May I ask a couple quick questions regarding the resolution? Rob, I appreciate you clarifying that because I think that's important. This is being done because of that certification that she received, so it's not from an equity standpoint with our other employees. That's the rationale for doing this off-cycle increase. Would that be correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's good to understand. The other quick question I had, and I think it's an important one, and perhaps Lisa, if you would like to comment, you may be in the best position as our finance representative. We're obviously going to be going into a tough budget cycle, obviously numerous budgetary pressures from an inflationary standpoint. Do you have any comments from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, those are all obviously factors that we've considered when we look at salary increases. But in the scheme of things, the amount that we're increasing is de minimis in the scope of the budget, and we feel that it can be easily handled within the excess funds that we have available.
Okay. Thank you. I think that those are two important things. And then the one thing, and I think, Rob, you touched on this if I'm not mistaken, is that, an employee relationship must be a win-win, right? Employee-employer. And I think there's obviously limits and there's certain things that are feasible for the town to do and certain limits that we have as a small community, quite frankly. So I think it's important that there's a realization or expectation that we're kind of quickly approaching those limits, I think.
Yeah, I mean, even with this bump up, she's still below county average. But again, we are a small town, right, and our budget is limited. So I think, this resolution takes that into consideration.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We have two raffle requests, RA 1174 and 1175 for Robbie World Foundation. I know they're going to have a fundraiser, and I think it's on the 15th. So that's for this, and the applications were properly prepared and reviewed. Okay, Public Works. Boy, Lisa, you're busy
Busy
tonight.
today, huh? Thank you, Mayor. So Public Works, we have an authorization to bid the DeCorso roof replacement project. The DeCorso Center did receive $50,000 from the Community Development Block Grant that comes from Union County. And that was a grant to be applied towards facilities. So that's going to pay for a portion of the roof replacement. The remainder of the project is part of the capital budget, so that will go out for bid. Then we have Resolution 2022-258, and that is a resolution approving grant agreement modification with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the 2016 Safe Routes to School grant project. And this is simply an agreement allocating an additional $88,632 to the 2016 Safe Routes to School project, and it's also going to extend the completion date to July 31st, 2024.
Okay. We have discussion items on ordinance 14. And that's the review of the master plan. And this came up, I know we looked at it, the master plan, this was done in 2014, Keith?
Yes, sorry.
I know it started, I wasn't even mayor then, but you went through everything, you, McKinley, Margaret, Debbie, Kevin, you went through the whole plan, and you made the proper adjustments that, quite honestly, never were codified. So this will give everybody that looks at this ordinance, architects, planners, whatever, what they need to know and bring it up to date. Mr. Grove came and told us about building to scale. And we came back to the planning board and we had some recommendations, and Keith, you took those recommendations and you put it into a plan. So I'm going to leave this presentation to you and McKinney at this point.
At the recent planning board hearing, the planning board did agree that there were some concerns, and it really the height and the number, the height was the concern that was brought back to the planning board. These changes encompassed everything about the downtown, and as I said, it's something we've been working on for over 8 years, and so we took that into consideration. There was the 45 feet, and it's a big change because the current ordinance permits 30 feet in the downtown. So we took that into consideration. What we were trying to achieve was to allow redevelopment or investment in the downtown and get to some 3-story buildings in the downtown. And we've revised that 45-foot target, and we're recommending the council approves a number at 38 feet in height, still the 3-story buildings. We've worked with architecturally, we know we can fit a 3-story building in there. It'll still look appropriate. It's still a scale to the buildings that are in that exist currently in the downtown. Long time coming. When there was room for discussion, and unfortunately we had tabled it for a few years too long. Now that we've brought it back up, now it's fresh in everybody's mind again, and all of a sudden that 45-foot popped up. But we can achieve our goals and still provide an opportunity for property owners to make investments in the downtown. And so our recommendation is to alter that maximum building height to 38 feet for the commercial business district.
Well, I read all the information. I saw pictures that you made, and thank you for all the work that you did, because pictures speaks 1,000 words.
As hell.
But I think 38 is the correct height. I'm looking at the municipal center over here, that's 38 feet. You're gonna need 38 feet because you're gonna need the parapets to hide all the air conditioning units, all the utilities up on the roof, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that's really where we want to go. And I think this accomplishes everybody's goal. You know, I think it's a great compromise. I personally thought 45 is way too high. Way too high for the downtown. I brought up when I go over the bridge, going into Fanwood, and you see those residential units on top of the stores, it's just too big. And I think we want to keep that hometown feel of New Providence. And this isn't a city, it's a borough, and we want to keep that. And I think 38 is the correct height. It's progressive enough, but it does put limitations in. And I think that is the proper height. Sure.
I was on council back in 2014, 15, 16 when we talked about the downtown master plan. I remember McKinley, you presenting a presentation to us at the time. So I think one of the reasons we wanted to allow or permit 3-story buildings was to entice investors to come in and redevelop some of the blighted parts of the downtown. So at the time, we had those 2 old homes on Springfield Avenue. That's now in urgent care. Everyone wanted those gone. So we were trying to spur redevelopment, to fix areas just like that. Right?
Yes.
So really the only way to entice a builder to come and do that was to say, hey, look, you need to make a profit too in this building. So by adding a 3rd floor, you'd be able to make somewhat of a profit on a building like that. So that was why we wanted to do the 3 stories, but I do agree that 45 is kind of high. I'd be happy with the 38 compromise.
Anybody else have any comments?
Yeah, I have a question. So would that also include the townhouse district? The CCDTH?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll lower them.
Okay, so any, because I think there were,
They were consistent standards, and we'll make sure that they remain consistent at 38 feet.
no, I was making my notes. So that was a question. And then the 38 accommodates for the 3 floors.
Correct.
I think it's important to remember that with the commercial buildings, the mixed-use ones downtown, that provides ample room for a good floor-to-ceiling height for your commercial spaces. But also your residential, they're not going to be too cramped, because we don't want to see like 8-foot really cramped ceiling heights. So this will give plenty of room for both types of development.
So I think I've given a lot of thought to this, and I know tonight's a discussion, so we're not voting on anything. It's just having some discussion about the topic, which I think is important, and I applaud that because I think it's important that we pause for a minute and have an important discussion. First, this ordinance is doing more than just the downtown master plan, correct? It's codifying a bunch of things, correct? Okay, so this is just one component of the downtown master plan that we happen to be talking about right now. Here are my thoughts, and again, I just offer this for everyone to think about. When I think about our downtown, the words I most often hear are quaint, charming, and vibrant. We came through COVID, I think, better than most. We didn't have the vacancies that other downtowns have had. Some high-profile downtowns, by the way. We have seen investment already in recent years in our town with a 1-story building. The urgent care, if I'm not mistaken, is 1-story. So it's been proven to be economically feasible to invest in our downtown at 1-story. We don't need 3 to make it economically feasible. What is right for Summit, Berkeley Heights, Westfield, good for them. This is New Providence. And I happen to think we have something extremely unique and extremely special in our quaint and charming downtown. I kind of see this as unnecessary. And I think that the conversation actually should be just the opposite. In the coming future, and soon to be future, we're going to have hundreds of new residents in town. Should we be talking about parking more Should we be talking about pedestrian safety more? I know when I drive down Springfield Avenue, I am on heightened alert. I see mid-block crossings by the church, by Starbucks, by the hardware store. So to add a third floor story with additional, parking needs, additional volume, I see as unnecessary at this time. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I just have a question.
Yeah.
So the buildings that are downtown now, like, because I just don't know off the top of my head, how tall is like Barth's and how tall is Wells Fargo Bank? Like, how tall, if I were to be looking down South Street, what heights am I looking at there now? And how many stories?
Barth's and Wells Fargo are each between 32 and 35 feet high.
Okay, and they are 2 stories.
Correct.
The single stories, you're probably looking to the top of the parapet, around 15 feet. 15 to 18, I think.
18, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a
And
very
that
tall frame.
example was the Provident Bank. It was the most recent construction. It's 1 story.
Okay, and how high is that?
18 feet would be typical.
What does the, just going around that corner, the Verizon, just out of curiosity?
The older corner.
Okay, yeah, I'm just trying to get like a
Right,
visual.
no more than that 15 or 18 feet.
Okay,
Probably 18 because they have a large facade.
okay.
Above the
Yeah, because they are kind of, it just kind of
Mhm.
looks, okay, excellent. And we do have this comparison, I don't know if anybody else got a chance to see this. This is a great visual of other buildings around here and how tall they are. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm gonna open this up
I do have a
now.
question.
Yeah,
I just was wondering, Keith, what brought this up? Like, so was there pushback from potential business owners or existing business owners that are looking for this additional height, or I'm
Well,
just
10 years
wondering
ago,
how
10 years ago,
this
there was
came
no
about?
interest. There was no interest in the buildings in the downtown. There were no property owners coming to us saying, what can I do here? It was that economic, that trigger to say, whether it's somebody coming from the outside and looking at a property as, here's some value to this site, or the current owner of a mall on the corner of Springfield. What can I do to expand my space?
And there has been interest. Keith and I have both met with property owners who have wanted to expand the buildings but didn't want to go to the zoning board to seek the height variance. So they ended up either abandoning the project or sticking within whatever it was, yeah.
One of the elements of this master plan, this downtown change, is to allow residential above commercial. We do have a couple examples of that in the downtown, but it does not match our ordinance. Our ordinance actually prohibits that. So they were limited from that. So we had a property owner so that was we started with that. They wanted to add residential. Why couldn't they have an apartment over a 1-story? That was just good downtown planning where you've got built-in customers, and now you've got people when they come home at night, they're making use of that parking lot that's vacant from the offices leaving. So that was an initial trigger too. Then was to update the ordinances and allow the residential element in the downtown.
Another benefit of that is the eyes on the street, the safety. There's always somebody, New Providence is very good sidewalk lighting, but when you add a residential component, you always have somebody there kind of looking out for their neighbors and the properties around them as well.
any other here? No? I'm gonna go, we'll script a little. I'm gonna let any resident, they have a comment on this ordinance and this ordinance only? Yes, sir.
Does this
Yeah,
ordinance?
come up, please.
Sure.
Give your name and address.
Can I say it, sir?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Does this ordinance have anything to do with Tall Oaks Drive?
No,
Absolutely not?
no,
Okay. I'll speak later then, thank you.
okay. Yeah, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff Grow, 240 Central Avenue, New Providence. as we talked about last time, it's really about scale and mass and such, but I do need to weigh in a little bit more on 2 stories of residential over commercial. So to understand for myself, being a graphically oriented person, I created one of these. Here, let me share this with you. Okay.
Got one, sure.
I'm a graphically oriented person.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon.
Maybe this will help.
Thank
I have extra copies in case people want to look at.
We can share if you want.
Mr. Mayor.
Diane and I can share.
We can share. Sure, here's an extra one, Jeff. We can share. Al and I can share.
Thank you.
Of course, yes.
Thank you.
Forgetting council. So my concern is now a couple fold, if I may. Pardon me. What you see here, let me explain what you're looking at here first. The 1-story, typical 12 feet height, you got 10 foot of ceiling and then a couple feet for mechanical and ductwork and structure, and then put your AC on top. 2.5-story building could be 32 feet with a 13-foot ceiling height of first floor for commercial. Then you got a 9-foot height ceiling height for residential on the second floor, and a 2 foot of structure and mechanical, and then some room in the attic for mechanical and some storage, or as the definition of a half story is 1/3 of the floor below. Is that right, Keith?
Correct.
Yeah, good. And then because we had been talking about the 45-foot height, it was 45 feet, so you get a little more generous first floor ceiling height of 15 feet in case you want to get expansive. 3 feet of mechanical and structural, 10-foot residential on the second floor for ceiling height, and 9 feet on the third floor, like Al said, a parapet for hiding the mechanical up top, but that makes 45 feet. But I think there's some other issues now in play. Going from 1 story with no residential downtown to 2 stories or 2.5 with permitted residential unit on the second floor already is a very big deal. That in and of itself is a huge incremental addition to the downtown. And I think that in and of itself is something that you should consider by itself. You should say, wait a second, should we stop there for a minute and think about that and see if that should suffice? I think that can be done and should be done and be evaluated, because my next thing is that there's a lot of properties in the downtown area that even with some shared parking probably wouldn't be able to accommodate enough parking for more than 1 floor of residential above commercial, and have both commercial be accommodated and 1 apartment or 2 apartments upstairs be accommodated in parking as well. So that could be self-limiting right in and of itself. I think you can change the ordinance later again if you find that that's working, and you can then permit 3, as Keith was outlining, to go to 38 feet and 3 stories. But adding that second story of residentials to make it 3 floors total, going from what we have now, which is none, and a 30-foot building height and no residential, you're missing a step. You really are missing the step of taking the step where you put 1 floor of residential, which I agree is a good thing, and probably can be accommodated, as Councilman DeSarno was saying. You do have the opportunity to do up to 30 feet, and look what it's done so far, not much. But I think that we really want to be very, very careful. I go back to what I said again last time. You don't get a do-over on this. There's no oops, I guess we guessed wrong here. Maybe we should stuff the genie back in the bottle. There is no ability to do that. if it turns out that it was not the right thing to do. You know the old proverb in real estate, when buying real estate, you know, the proverb is start low and go up slow. And I think that that's a good way to think about increasing our density downtown in this manner. I think we should start low with the addition and then see how it works out and go up incrementally at a slow pace. But you can always change your mind. But go up at a slow pace to see if you like what you did and see if it works, and then you can add to it. But there's no going back. You can't stuff the genie back in the bottle, like I said last time. And if you, for all the reasons that everybody says, we're not Summit, we're not Westfield, we're not, you know, all these things, that we're not that. We are a small town. We are New Providence, and it's the feeling is very delicate balance of what we do and how we do it. And you got to be quite careful when you mix with that. And so I advocate strongly for this one here in the middle. Maybe you could go to 35 feet, you know, if you want a better pitch on your roof or something. But one floor of commercial and one floor of residential downtown is a huge deal. And I think you should consider that strongly before going from 0 to 100 right off the bat. I think that's way too much, way too fast without really testing the waters and seeing how it goes. You can always change it, but you can't go back. So with that, if you got any questions for me, I'd be happy to entertain them. And if anybody out there in TV land wants one,
No.
there's plenty of them here. I got a big printer.
Okay, no questions, self-explanatory.
Okay.
Thank you.
Again,
Thank
once
you so
again,
Thank you.
as always, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'll take
Any
one of
more?
these for myself.
Yeah, Bob. You have a bum foot, you can sit there.
No, it's okay, I can come down.
Okay,
I'm slow to actually.
okay.
I warmed it up for you.
I'll take it. Bob Conley, 415 Elkwood Avenue. I recall when the master plan was being developed, there was a few meetings, planning board meetings, et cetera. And that was, I think, 2015, early 2016. Then it seemed to sit on a shelf. And I always meaning to ask the planning board whatever happened to the master plan, because it was very, very nice looking, colored pictures and everything. And now I find that the ordinance to permit it is being voted on. I do have a question maybe you can't answer. Was there ever any public comment on the plan?
Yeah, there was.
I don't recall any, maybe I just missed it.
Yeah, there was public comment on the plan.
'Cause I would have.
We just never codified it. It fell through the cracks, apparently.
Right, you talking about the ordinance?
Yeah,
Yes, there was public comment when it was originally drafted in 2016?
14 through 16.
14 through 16, yeah, during the few-year period, there was public comment.
I guess I just missed it then. But, so I have to take an opportunity now for public comment since I live on Elkwood Avenue, directly across the street from a new zone that is being presented, the CCD-TH zone. I currently live on a residential street. At the planning board last week, I raised my concerns, and the mayor and other people told me this is not any immediate change to anybody, that it's just a technical zoning issue to now create a new commercial district, townhouse district across the street from me. My concern is if a developer came in after we codified this plan with $10 million and bought out the 5 property owners that are across the street from me, kicked out Joe Lamini's garage, went ahead and put up, as is specified in the plan, 2 3-story townhouse over commercial buildings. They're across the street from me.
well, the
Now,
commercial wouldn't be in there,
2
right?
3-story
Correct.
They have the option of townhouse or
townhouse on
small-scale
the
commercial.
ground floor.
It would be just townhouses or
some small-scale retail is permitted, that they wouldn't be allowed to be combined.
The way I read the plan, it says, actually specifies 8 to 10 townhouses in 2 separate buildings along Upwood Avenue. That would accommodate probably 20 persons. You figure 2.2 people per townhouse. They're existing there, 15 to 20 residents in 5 homes and 4 businesses that would be dislocated. Now the plan itself, the I'm sorry. Page 92 of the zoning ordinance talks about the CCDTA's, the Central Townhouse District, which is strictly limited to this part of Upwood Avenue and a tiny slice on Gales Drive. It describes this new zoning as the CCDTH Central Commercial Townhouse is intended to attract more residential users to this CCD district, providing a nearby customer base for businesses within easy walking distance. You're displacing, in effect, 15 to 20 people to bring in 20 people. I think that description is just disingenuous. It's a good idea if you're reclaiming swampland or repurposing an unused shopping mall to say, yes, we can put in townhouses with some retail on the bottom. That's all a win-win for everybody. This plan just takes 18 people here, moves them out, puts 18 to 20 people here, and says you're gaining a benefit. Meanwhile, you've lost four established small businesses. I just don't see a need at all at this point for the townhouse district as described as existing on Upwood Avenue. On a personal front, I enjoy, people talk about New Providence being a small town. I agree. I love this place. Been here 29 years. For 29 years, I've been looking out my front door, and what do I see in the morning? I see the sun coming up over the senior citizens apartment. I've got homes across the street, and my horizon is a tree line that goes all the way to Mountain Avenue. This plan would allow, worst case scenario, me opening my front door, looking at a now 38-foot probable brick building with a townhouse owner looking down at me. No more trees, no more horizon on the back end of a commercial district. So if my neighbors were here, if my neighbors were aware of this plan, I think they'd be here with me. That's why I asked about public comment, because I don't recall the public comment, but I guess I'm speaking for all those folks.
Okay.
Any questions for me?
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead, Alan.
Hi. Let me start by saying that the downtown plan that was passed in 2016, there are aspects of it that are really very good. Jeff alluded to a couple of them, not Jeff, at any rate, it might have been Peter, I think it was you, Peter, I'm sorry. And that was that the issues related to pedestrians, mid-block crossings, the plan has in it accommodating for bicycles, issues that I've brought up before. So there are a lot of aspects of the plan that are really excellent, and I would be very happy to see them incorporated. There is one important thing that I think it's important to point out. The plaque behind reads incorporated in 1899, and the downtown plans were approved in 2016, and it's taken us 6 years to get to the point where we want to consider codifying the ordinances in order to begin to move on the plan. Jeff said something very important, and that is that once you do this, you're not going to go back. So that when we look at the incorporation in 1899, you need to look at these changes that you're going to make in the downtown. They're forever for us,
Well,
basically.
quite honestly, it's a living document and it can be changed.
I'm sorry?
It can be changed.
Oh, okay.
In the future. It's a living document. It gets looked at every couple of years. Or if something comes up, Keith gives us a heads up, or McKinley, and they'll make recommendations to us that we could change it.
I understand that you could change ordinances
Well, you
anytime.
just said
We're just talking
it's
about
in
what's happening.
perpetuity, and it's-
We're talking about what's
it's,
happening right now.
Yeah.
So if there was a change in the future, once this is established, then I'm sure we'll have comments then as well. The reason I bring this up is that, as Jeff pointed out, that once you do this, again, it's basically forever.
But that's what I said, it isn't forever. You can change it, it's a living document.
I don't know that. I mean, if you pass it and you say that, okay, this is what we're going to be doing, these are the ordinances, there's no guarantee that that's going to change. Why would you pass ordinances saying, well, when it comes up in the future, we'll go ahead and change it if we have to?
Alan, we revise ordinances all the time.
Okay. I'm not sure that we're speaking the same language here. This is the document that's on the table now. I'm trying to comment on that.
And you keep saying that it's there forever, and I'm saying.
The potential is that it would be there without changes. How's that? I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm not.
But you're making a fact. You're making a statement that's not correct.
Okay. I understand that these ordinances will be put into place and they would be subject to change in the future.
Right.
Okay, so what I want to say is that it's important that we might as well start and do it right to begin with. So what I think would be very important, given the discussions about 38 feet, 45 feet, obviously the 45 feet seems to be
off the table.
The recommendation is to change it, but the 38 feet is also out there. And there's discussion of, well, how tall is the Wells Fargo Bank, or how tall is this, or this building would be blocking the trees in my view, and that sort of thing. The point I'm trying to make is that the technology is very simple that exists for us to develop a couple of concept plans related to, I know that we have an existing structure that's proposed for 33 South Street. There's no reason why we couldn't look at what does that structure going to look like in downtown, or we might look, I know that in the plan there's a possibility of a 3-story building next to the Prestige Diner. There's no reason why we couldn't have a concept plan and a rendering of what a 3-story building that's 38 feet would look like there. And then that way, all of us, rather than speculating how many trees, or whether it's going to block the sun, or whether it's going to fit in and the scale is going to be proper, we would be able to see it in front of us and be able to comment to it with greater specificity than just sort of saying, well, this would have 10 more feet added to it, or that sort of thing. So I just think it would be important to just take a little more time to take a look at that and actually see some concept plans of what those kinds of buildings would look like downtown, so that everybody has a clearer picture of it.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Yeah, Donna.
Donna Green, 54 Brookside Drive. If this is the master plan that I think there was a public commentary on, is this the one that ended up having the parking added on Springfield?
It was part of it,
Okay.
yeah.
So that sort of comes to my concern. I'm going to say the same thing I said as I said back then, which is at that time when the master plan was presented, there were a bunch of improvements for pedestrians and cyclists that were brought up that were supposed to be mitigated by, so we added parking, which is terrible for the cyclists, but this was all supposed to be mitigated by other changes that never happened. And so I'm going back to the parking and the fact that as a cyclist myself, I will be on the sidewalks now downtown. I used to be able to go through the streets, but I do sidewalks now because of all the cars coming in and out and parking and not. And so my question is more of, you're adding residents, which I don't actually believe. If you say the residents are only going to be there at the night, because what happens on weekends, what happens if I work from home? Are you adding in enough space? I just want this consideration for the additional cars, because I'm one of the people who doesn't like the parking currently on Springfield on the north side. People going in and out of the Adams Center. And so I'm only leery, not about the sizes and the heights and stuff, because I don't know that I see that. That's just me personally. I'm just worried about the added traffic to a place that hasn't been cleaned up, as was discussed way back at the public commentary of the original master plan. So that's my only request, is that you consider how much more traffic you're adding to a place that right now, I love what the police have done, slowing the traffic down, but there's still a lot of confusion, moving people going lots of different directions in our downtown. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to address council on this issue? And where do we go from here, Keith?
We would look for council to make the recommendation to introduce the ordinance at this time. It would not be a substantial change, whereas it would have to go back to the planning board for another consistency review. It would be left at council's discretion at this point.
I disagree.
Do you have a change in opinion?
I think it's a significant change, and it's going to be a different ordinance. I mean, you've introduced the ordinance, that's going to have to be withdrawn. And now you're proposing a change in that ordinance, which makes it a new ordinance. And I recognize, this is a recommendation, but, the planning board did not simply say, make it 38 feet. They just made a recommendation. So now you're going to have a different ordinance than one that was previously introduced. And I think, and this is something that I was discussing today with Wendy. I think it's required, but it's also it's the safe thing to do.
Yeah, I was wondering, we never did introduce the ordinance, though.
Yes, you did.
Did we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that's why it was at the planning board, because you
Right.
introduced it at your September.
Right, so I think
first
you have to
September.
withdraw by motion that ordinance as it's currently written, because that's not the one that's going to be enacted. And I think at the next meeting, you'll have to introduce, and then it has to go back for review, and then you can adopt at the next meeting after that.
Okay.
And I'll send you another 300-page document. But with only that change that Keith mentioned.
So we're going to withdraw it because it has the 45-foot limit and just reduce to 38 feet, 3 stories.
Right.
Okay.
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 We can schedule it.
What do you need a motion from us to?
To
withdraw.
Paul, do we need to, like, you were saying reintroduce it at 38? I heard me being one of them, differences of opinion. Does that have to be voted on, what we reintroduce it at, or how does that work?
Oh, we have to.
It's like any other ordinance, it's just like what you did. At the next meeting, if that's what the majority of the council wishes to do, you're going to introduce the ordinance, now with that change to 38 feet maximum
Will
for
we vote
45 feet.
on that introduction? Will we vote on that or no?
Yeah.
Is that-
Yeah, you will.
Oh, okay, so,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
very good,
Yeah.
thank you.
So you need a motion to withdraw.
I have a motion to withdraw.
Yeah, I'll make the motion, yeah.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Desarnais?
Aye.
Mrs. Jeffrey?
Yes.
Mr. Munoz?
Yes.
Mrs. McKnight?
Yes.
Mrs. Belisca?
Aye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay. I guess now we go to committee reports. First is me. I went to the New Providence band preview for the parents. I gotta say that they were outstanding this year. I think they're gonna do very, very well in competition. Father Francisco was installed at OLP as their new pastor. Very, very nice man. I went to the Business Association meeting. They had a lot of people, and it's good to see. Kendra Roberts and I started the Business Association years ago with a few of the merchants. It was the Suburban Chamber of Commerce back then was actually thinking about going out of business, so we started New Providence. So it's really grown, and they've helped us. They've had a hard time too with COVID, but they're coming back strong, and it's just a great organization, and we're able to work with them hand in hand. I know they work with the PBA a lot, right, guys? And being a small business owner myself, I'm proud to be part of that organization. And we did the ribbon cutting at the bakehouse, which was really good. So what we needed was a good bakery in town. So Joe provided it for us. So that's really all I have. Pete?
Yeah, Mayor, I would just update on sustainability. I think we had a tremendous free cycle event, and I see a woman in the audience Donna Zane, who was really the quarterback of that. So I'd like to thank you for your efforts as well as the sustainability team. It was a very successful free cycle event, and for those of you that are unfamiliar, people are bringing stuff and then actually taking stuff to keep them out of the landfill and to repurpose, reuse, recycle things. So congratulations on a job well done. Thank you.
Okay, Nadine.
Yes, we had our first Municipal Alliance meeting of the school year, where they were just putting together some plans for all of our residents and students, and it looks like we're going to have another great year, bringing awareness about drug and alcohol abuse to the community.
Okay. Rob, you up?
Operations normal, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, beautiful. Lisa?
Thank you, Mayor. As we were talking about with the resolutions for the Mental Health Advocacy and Education Committee, we did meet prior to this council meeting, and they are moving very quickly. They have a great group of volunteers that are very dedicated and truly believe in this committee and what it can do. So very excited to see where it goes, but like we said, in October, the QPR training, if you're interested, it is a Zoom, October 14th from 7 to 8:30. So that should be good. And then we had the library board met. So a lot of changes at the library. I just want to say thank you to Kelly Stye, who was our president. She stepped down. Mark Andrus, Mark, did I pronounce that right? Andrus. Mark Andrus graciously is taking over as the board library president. So look forward to some great things happening there with the new board. And the Friends of the Library have been very busy. We are back to a full slate, full activities. The library is hopping. There's a craft show this weekend. There's concert series. There's a different concert each month, October, November, December. Just a lot of stuff happening. The library is busy. People are using the reading nooks. People are getting library cards. They're going to be at the street fair if you're interested in stopping by, saying hello, learning a little bit more about the library, getting a library card, win a prize. But so very excited as to what's going on there.
Well, it's really a community center.
Yeah,
now.
it really is.
So, Diane.
Thank you. Actually, also, this is not me, but also this weekend is the car show.
Yeah.
I believe on Saturday. I am reminding everybody, find out information about that, which we heard. Historical Society had the
I'm blanking. The book festival the other week, and that was fantastic. 4 Centuries in a Weekend will be, I believe it's the 15th of October also. So that's what they have coming up. Other than that,
It's amazing how many local authors we have.
yes.
It really is.
Fantastic.
Many tables.
Okay, well, since we have Kevin here, give me a report on the bridge on Commerce Street.
So I did speak to the manufacturer, and November first date is still the date right now. So we're going to continue to call them regularly.
I'd just like the residents to know that the pilings are in. I think they're like building the George Washington Bridge over there. But I saw a comment on the community forum, a third world country could build the bridge faster than this. Yeah, well, that may be, but they don't have to work with DOT, DEP, the state, and guess what? This one's not gonna wash away. So, they poured the concrete footings, right?
Yes.
Everything's in?
Yeah, so everything is in and ready. Basically, November 1st comes, the bridge, actual structure will be delivered on a flatbed truck. It's basically picked up and plopped right onto the bridge buckets, the concrete foundations that are in there now. And then the area around it gets restored, so
Okay.
that all happens pretty quickly once the bridge arrives.
Okay. There's not much more I can say. Okay. At this time, we have public comments. Anybody wishing to address council? You're up.
Is that me? You referring to me, Your Honor?
Yes, please.
Sure.
Referring to me?
Yes.
Oh. Hi. Thanks for taking the time.
Sure.
Good evening. Heard a lot of great words tonight. Borough is quaint, charming, and that's what we love about Tall Oaks Drive. My name is Paul Caruso, and I live at 41 Tall Oaks Drive. Been there 29 years. We bought there because it's beautiful, charming trees and the character. Residents were concerned about speeding, but police studies indicated that there really wasn't an issue. So I'm asking, how did the town come up with proposals for sidewalks when no one on the street has ever been consulted? And are you putting sidewalks on Old Oak, on Division, on Seven Oaks, along Mountain Avenue to Division? Are those streets also an issue? It's a concern of ours. I have a signed petition here from neighbors from Division down to 87 Tall Oaks, stating that they do not want sidewalks. And we'd like to start an open dialogue with the town, with all of the residents on Tall Oaks Drive, not just one or two. So I don't know if you want me to submit, I have a copy.
You can give that to Wendy.
And the petition just touches on basically what I just said. There's 26 residents signed here with their email addresses. They're completely against the widening of the street and construction, because what would happen, the street's narrow at that point, above 87 Tall Oaks. And this would mean loss of mature trees that are 100 years old, this big. And when you take a tree out that big, because the property slants,
I understand.
trees like that, they drink hundreds of gallons of water a day. So you're gonna have runoff, like it happened up the street. A woman's basement now floods. And also the aesthetics of that, cutting into I mentioned the trees, excuse me. I'm trying to be succinct here. In addition to that, along that side of the street, which is the north side, there are gardens, there are plantings, and a fence. I mean, hundreds of feet of that, and that'd be all destroyed. And that's the reason why the people in that street bought in that street, is for that. And to put a sidewalk in, which would destroy that. And also would turn Tall Oaks into like a major thoroughfare, not the quaint street that it is. And, the shade the trees provide for the homes.
Excuse me, were you here at the listening sessions that we had for the traffic up at Tall Oaks?
I was here, I listened, and it got off track because there was 3 people involved that wanted sidewalks,
I got 26 people involved.
Okay, that's,
Yeah.
listen,
So I'm just,
we're here
I'm
to listen.
passionate. I'm just passionate.
Yeah,
about
no, I get it.
it. I love the neighborhood. I love the street.
I understand.
Please don't change it.
I understand completely.
Thank you.
And, we'll pass this on, we'll talk to the traffic people in the police department, listen, I get it.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you.
But people still speed, in fact,
Well,
I will say one thing, I made it very clear, when we start doing enforcement up there, 9 times out of 10, it's the residents that live there. And guess what? The next morning, one of those residents, I won't say who it was, got nailed, got written up, and was mad at us for giving them a ticket because it was their street. Really? And this is what we have to deal with.
Right.
And these guys in the back have to deal with this all the time.
Yeah, I think that individual that deserved the ticket, I don't know who it was.
No, and I'm not gonna mention the name,
But
but
just to, it would just be horrible, it would be like a devastating thing.
yeah, I
appreciate your
understand.
time and thank you for understanding.
No problem, Paul.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming down.
Yeah, thanks for listening, folks. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you.
And while we're on the subject, we did say that we were going to do a listening session again in the fall. So we'll probably do it in November. But there's been a lot of upgrades and a lot of improvement in the traffic safety area. Now, more on the other end and by the high school, but like I said, there's short-term, medium-term, and long-term plans, so.
Your Honor, can I ask, and add one more thing?
Yes, sir.
We woke up a couple of weeks ago and the streets were painted with 25 slow and there was a yellow line down the middle of the street. Nobody on Tall Oaks was notified. It was like, and then the other day an officer was saying to my wife, what do you think about sidewalks? And her head exploded. So now there's a concern with these 26 people. The truck's gonna show up one morning and start ripping trees down to put sidewalks in, which we don't want. That's why I'm here.
I understand what you're saying.
So, I mean, if you're gonna do something, give us a notice, let us know what's going on.
Well, the 25 that on the pavement is.
Oh, yeah, that's a good thing, but we didn't know about it. So,
yeah.
but in this document, the New Providence, New Jersey Traffic and Circulation Plan, page 28, it talks about sidewalks on Tall Oaks Drive. So people's heads were exploding, and that's why I'm here tonight.
I got it.
We'd like to have a conversation, and maybe,
That's
and
fine.
it was great to hear that you say that things are fluid, things get written in, but they can be removed.
Right.
That's great to hear, because this is something we'd really like to remove.
Well, we can set up a meeting with Sergeant Diamond
That'd be great.
and, and go through it.
Thanks very much.
Okay, no
Thank you.
problem.
Good evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address council? Yes, Sarah.
Hello, Mayor Morgan and members of the council. My name is Sarah Ahrens, and my husband and I are owners at 99 Crest Road. My husband, Jim, wanted to be here tonight, but one of us had to stay home with our 2 kids, who are 8 and 10. Lucy knows one of them. And so we have young girls and a dog he had to stay home with. But as several of you may know, Hurricane Ida in September 2021 caused significant damage to the borough and to my retaining wall and chain link fence. And the fence and wall are within the town culvert and easement area that runs through the edge of my property. I stand here before you asking for help to fix the damaged wall and fence. I wanted to come here and talk to you myself so you could hear from me personally.
Relax. Want some water?
No, thanks. Specifically, the help that I'm asking from you is to get the FEMA money allocated to this project to replace both the fence and the retaining wall. As you know, FEMA's willing to pay 90% of the cost of the retaining wall and the fence and rebuilding with structurally sound materials that are allowed in flood hazard areas. Please note that a chain link fence is actually not allowed in flood hazard areas, but my husband and I are willing to do whatever is reasonable to have this happen. So, one, we're willing to pay for the remaining 10%, up to $7,000 of the project that FEMA does not cover, to make this cost $0 to the borough. Our budget is very limited. So while our local contractors provided estimates ranging from $30,000 to $50,000, local bidding laws, FEMA standards, etc., make it hard for my husband and I to know exactly how much this would cost to do it right. All we do know is that we're stretched very thin. We don't have a lot of money. Tissue. Two, we're also willing to accept responsibility for maintaining the retaining wall after the replacement and repair. Of course, not the culvert, just the retaining wall. And three, we're willing to assist as needed with filing the paperwork, any paperwork. Our proposal to pay for the 10% take responsibility going forward is legally possible and does not set any precedents. No two situations are alike, and assuredly this one is quite unique. Please help me by approving this project as a FEMA project and getting the FEMA funds already available for this project to apply. We need this wall fixed immediately before the next storm makes the problem even worse. In summary, with the council's approval to have the project allocated FEMA funds along with our proposal, this would equate to zero cost to the borough, zero responsibility to the borough for the wall in the future, elimination of risk and safety hazard, and management of this erosion and collapse before it becomes an even bigger problem. So I respectfully leave you, Council President Jeff Roy is the Vice Chair for Public Safety, Councilman Munoz is the Vice Chair for Engineering and Construction, Councilwoman McKnight is the Vice Chair for Finance, Councilman DeSarno, Councilwoman Beliska, and Mayor Morgan, and Honorary Mayor Lucy, with our personal appeal for your help. Thank you.
Thank you. We spoke, and I said that we'd have to be guided by our attorney who's here. And, I'll have to defer to him.
Mayor, this has been under conversation for months. I've had a number of conversations with legal counsel that you've retained. The issue is the FEMA wants a certification that this wall is our legal responsibility. It's not. That's the problem I have with it. The wall, I'm not unsympathetic to the situation, believe me. And if FEMA would be willing to allocate the funds, I don't have any, and I'm sure the council has no objection to it. But the wall is on your property. It's within an easement area, but it's a sanitary sewer easement, and the wall does not have anything to do with that sewer easement. So we cannot certify to FEMA that it is our legal liability or responsibility. My understanding, and Chief Henn has been the person dealing with FEMA, not me directly, but that FEMA will only allocate that 90% if we tell them and certify it is our legal responsibility, and I can't do that. I don't know how to get around that.
Why not? I'm not understanding why you can't certify it.
Because it's not. I can't certify something or have the council or council members certify something that's not true. If we did something like that, we would effectively be defrauding FEMA. And I can imagine the repercussions that we would have in the future. I can't, what you're saying is we should provide FEMA with a statement that says it is our legal responsibility, even though it is not.
I think just that you're accepting responsibility, and I'm happy to take that responsibility over after the repair.
If FEMA was willing to accept a statement that we will accept responsibility, if FEMA would approve that, I don't have an objection to it, but my understanding that is not what FEMA is seeking from us. They don't want to say, we can't simply say we're accepting legal responsibility and FEMA will just give us the money. Now, I did question, I mean, FEMA gives money to private residents too.
Yeah, I was going to ask that same thing.
Has there been any attempt by you or your council, and I did not discuss this with your council, to get FEMA assistance yourself?
I did try.
And what was their?
Very difficult to interact with them.
They're not, it's no different for the town.
Chief Henn will attest
in
to
dealing
his
with it.
difficulty.
No, and believe me, I understand that and I accept that. It's a federal bureaucracy. But it's the same for us. We're dealing with FEMA too. And I simply can't sit here and say to you, myself or anyone else will certify to something to FEMA that's not true.
I would never ask you to certify something that's not true.
Look, I understand you're desperate, and like I said, I'm not unsympathetic, but this is the position I'm afraid I find myself in. I'm the legal counsel. I have to accept that responsibility. If FEMA would say, okay, it's not your legal responsibility, but if you'll take it on, we'll give you the money for the wall, I don't think I have any objection to that because we're not defrauding, but that's not what FEMA has been telling us.
That was my understanding from Chief Henn, that as long as the town
I'll talk
takes
to the chief again tomorrow.
responsibility.
I will talk to him again, but believe me, I've had a number of conversations with him, with your council. This is not something that's just come up. This has been going on, I think, since the spring, at least. So it's been looked at, it's been evaluated. If there's a way to do it, and I can tell you, Chief Henn very much would like to have this done.
I know.
And he's doing.
I think we all would.
Yeah, and he's doing everything in his communications with them. And it's just fallen to the point where frankly, it's come to me to say, we have this issue about the legality of it. And I did not get any contrary argument, I'll say, from your council. They're not suggesting that this wall is our legal responsibility. They're like you, can't we find a way around it? And I'm all open to any suggestions, but as it stands now, I'm afraid this is where I find myself. I will have another conversation with the chief. And if we can reach out to FEMA again, I don't have a problem reaching out to them, but this is where I find us.
Sir, what exactly has FEMA told you as a private resident?
They gave me like $50 to get an estimate for something and then kind of dropped it.
You shouldn't have dropped it.
No, I didn't drop it.
Wow.
It was, very hard to work with FEMA.
They're not the easiest people to work with, to be honest with you. And sometimes we wait 3 years or more to get money from them. I know Sandy, it took about 4 or 5 years to get money from them.
Yeah.
So they're not the easiest people to work with. I mean, they come here and they give you a pony show. Oh, we'll do this, that, and the other thing. And then when it comes down to brass tacks, everything gets held up with paperwork and all sorts of things. Kevin, you deal with FEMA. Have you have any insights?
They are difficult. I would say hire professionals. You know,
And that's more money that she really doesn't have to spend.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah, Paul, if you could talk to the chief, see if there's any way we can help her out.
And we'll communicate with you.
Okay, Sarah?
Thank you.
Sorry we can't do more. Yes, Alan.
Hi, Alan Swanson. I live on Overhill Road, 2 houses up from Tall Oaks, and I'm going to support
He left.
that a sidewalk doesn't belong on Tall Oaks. I've lived there now for 22 years. Or I've lived in New Providence 22 years, and quite a bit of them on Overhill. I'm here tonight. I've talked to you about this for about 3 years. I have a significant hearing loss. I'm able to do a good job of accommodating for it. I have pretty much the latest technology. But the system that you have in the past for me has not been reliable, the T-coil system. And I actually have hearing aids that I got that have a T-coil system in, and it's not really jiving with the system here. So what I'm saying is that we need to, I'm willing to work with you. I mean, I've educated you sometimes, a couple of times over the years, about what it is to have a hearing loss, and it's a little bit different than when you have the visible, wheelchairs and what have you in terms of the accommodations that need to be made. The fortunate thing is that I'm here, I'm in town, and I'm really willing to work with you on things like that I've mentioned before, even on the videos where we have the back of somebody's head. For somebody like me, it's difficult, even with the audio is an issue. It's an issue that I'd like to work out with you to try to make sure that the accommodations that you have are going to take into account people with hearing loss. We're very fortunate in that the speech school in town is where the Hearing Loss Association of America, Morris County chapter meets. And I actually went to my first meeting with them. They haven't met in public in over 2 years, and so I went. It was on the Saturday of the free cycle. I spent a little bit of time over there and then went over to that meeting. I say you're fortunate because this organization is absolutely fantastic. The resources, the knowledge that they have, and the ability to educate and to demonstrate what the latest technologies are, to make the easy accommodations are available. So I don't know how we could work out or who's in charge of the system here, but I really would be happy to come in and experiment with the system.
We'll contact Summit Speech, see what they can do. Okay?
Yeah, I can do that with you. I think that was everything. So would you want me to contact somebody or?
No, we'll contact them.
Okay, and who are you going to contact again?
I don't know, we'll call over and find out. Over at Summit Speech.
Okay. Well, Summit Speech is where we meet. The Hearing Loss Association of America, or the advocacy group. Summit Speech School is a service
Do you have
provider.
a name that we could contact?
I don't have it with me, but I certainly can
okay,
provide
well, why
that.
don't
What I'm
you,
trying to say is that I can get you those contacts. I didn't intend coming up and speaking about this tonight, but
Okay,
but
we'll
I can
send
tell
the
you that-
contacts to Wendy or Bernadette,
Okay.
and we'll look into it, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address council? Seeing no one, I declare the public comments closed. I need motion for items 1 through 8, please.
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. DeSarno?
Aye.
Mrs. Jeffrey?
Yes.
Mr. Munoz?
Yes.
Mrs. McKnight?
Yes.
Mrs. Belisca?
Aye.
Say, can I have a motion for adjournment? Say, can I have a motion for adjournment?
Can I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I'll second.
Once we get to go home.
All in favor?
Aye.
No? So be it. Thank you all for coming tonight.